Hi, everyone. Hello. Thank you ever so much for coming to this late session. I know it has been a long and really warm day, but hopefully you will find it beneficial and it's not too long until the party either. So I will try to be as fast as I can. Welcome to How to Make Your Users Love Salesforce as Much as You Do. I'm going to talk about some really quick UX and UI design wins we can do on the native platform, just to make our users' life easier and then for our lives easier as well. Think of this as a demo gem of Salesforce's native features. And it will be a quick round of stuff. Some slides I will be pausing for 10 seconds, others I'll talk a little bit more. And hopefully, if you take one thing away with you after this talk, then I will be very happy. So a little bit about myself. My name is Richard Ivan, and I am 5 times certified, and I'm in the ecosystem for a little bit over 4 years now. And currently I'm working as an admin in the fintech sector for a company called LendInvest here in London. So on today's agenda, first let's talk a little bit about a user experience and why does it matter. Then we're going to have a look at record pages. Spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about dynamic forms. Then we're going to have a look at best practices when it comes to charts on dashboards and reports. We're going to talk a little about colors as well. Then we go into our quick tips, which is like your one-sliders. They couldn't really fit into any other category. And in the end, we're going to have a look at tools that we can give to our users that they can use with little to no configuration from us. They're just going to make their lives easier when it comes to interacting with the platform. So user experience, why does it matter? Your users are your biggest asset, therefore you must consider their experience. Don't forget that a long time ago when Salesforce was first came to life, it was meant to be for our users, not for us. Since then, Salesforce has got a brilliant product team and they look at the admin and developer experience. That's our user experience, and they do it so then we can deliver much better user experience to our own users. And your user's experience needs to be also relevant, and therefore user adoption matters. So what I mean by this is if you build the slickest, technically challenging screen flow, for example, and with a click of a button, you can clone 50 opportunities. Really cool, well done. Is it actually useful? If it's not, then you didn't really look at what your user's experience is, and nobody's going to use it, which is a bummer because you spent a really long time on it and it's probably really good. Salesforce also could be an extension of your brand. If your company has got their own voice and tone, if you apply the same voice and tone branding logos in your org, then your users will feel right at home and they're going to feel very looked after. And if you focus on user experience and design thinking, that will enable you to innovate. If you use a human-centered approach, human-centered design, then you will be able to help your users much quicker. There is in the very end, I have a QR code for you, which if you scan, there is a really cool course about design thinking from IBM. It's free to take, it's 2 hours. You actually get to draw on the course, it's that interactive, it's really cool. And I encourage you to take it, it's really cool. Let's move on to record pages. And as I promised, dynamic forms. Most of you already know what dynamic forms are. Just a little bit of catch up on here. I think most of LWC-enabled pages are now support dynamic forms. I think your few objects such as tasks, you still cannot use these. But your bigger objects and also all your custom objects and your bigger objects such as lead, contact, account, opportunity, they will support these. And what are really cool is that you can hide fields, components on the page, depending on your certain field values, such as how I'm doing it here, where I'm hiding a field if a stage equals, let's say, prospecting. Or it's only visible when a stage equals prospecting. This is just so your user always faced with a very streamlined layout that they're looking at. They only see what is relevant to them at any given time. Same with rich text components. If you are using Lightning record pages, you can insert these rich text components. And I'm not sure if you know that you can actually insert images, like how Astro is taking a call in a call center here, for example. Again, you can really easily apply your branding and your voice and tone anywhere on these Lightning pages. Very similarly, if you are not satisfied just with the confetti once an opportunity is won, then you can use this as well. And by the way, you can use emojis. I'm not sure if you know. If you bring up your emoji keyboard on your Windows, on your Mac, you can insert those emojis in to these rich text components, and they will be visible for everybody. But not just, the use cases are not just these. These are endless. If you have got a third-party system that you integrated via an API, and that sends back a response to Salesforce, whether that boarding was successful or not, and if it wasn't, you can display, let's say, an error message to say that it has failed. Just another example. One of my favorite things when you're using dynamic forms, and this is really helps with my own OCD, is something called align fields horizontally. Now, what this does, you have to have your record details section converted to use dynamic forms. Then you're going to drag the field section onto your Lightning page, and you're going to see that little tick box. If you tick that tick box, what that's going to do, it's going to align your heights of your fields in both columns. Essentially, as you can see, on one side it's not, but the other side is enabled. So if you have got your compound fields, your address field, which can, blow everything out of proportion, or if you have got, let's say, a long text field, which you can use can enter as many characters as they want to, it can just look messy. Sometimes it is about how things look, sometimes not. I love this. So if you haven't, check them out. But whatever you do on your Lightning record pages, keep them consistent. If you are in setup, I'm sure you as well as me, if I close my eyes, I can navigate to certain things in setup. Muscle memory, our users are the same. So if you keep our tab orders the same, in our big objects, accounts, contacts, opportunities, whatever your use case is, your users feel right at home, no matter which record they are looking at, for example. Same with your buttons. If it's possible, if your use case allows it, keep your button order the same as well during your org. And your activity timeline, your chatter feed, again, just try to keep it around the same position. As you can see on my example as well, everything is in roughly the same order. So no matter where your users are, they know exactly where they need to look for if they need to click edit, click clone, etc., etc. Now, if we move over to dashboard and the report charts, here I'm going to talk a little bit about what to do when you use certain report charts and dashboard charts, and we're going to talk a little bit about color as well. So if you're using a column chart, and I see this a lot, and I'm sure you have done it as well, and I have delivered a dashboard like this as well, where my data is not ordered. Your sales manager is not necessarily going to be really happy with you if they have to go in and dig out the data they want to. If you order them either ascending or descending order, they will be very happy. So please do. Similar on line charts. If you use this line chart to display, and they usually say, with a data set and you're displaying 4 values or more, that's going to defeat the purpose of you using it, because there's just so much information, the outliers, the alerts that the data and you trying to show to your users are not going to get translated. So use a line chart to represent data with 4 or fewer related values. And I know sometimes that's not possible, but if you can, just keep this in mind. When it comes to pie charts, do use a pie chart to represent data with between 2 and 5 values, and don't use a pie chart for data sets with more than 5. As you can see, again, it's just defeating a purpose of readability very easily. Salesforce does a brilliant job for us, and it's really easy if you're on a dashboard. If you click combine small values into others, then you're going to have an additional category here that's going to say others, and it just takes care of you. Use that. Still on the pie charts, again, it's just about ordering your pie chart. You don't want your sales manager hovering over each slice, which one is bigger, reading it. You need to show them how the data is in either, descending order. When we look at color as well, this is pretty important too. And I have linked a study in the QR code that I mentioned earlier too. Salesforce's own study on color. It's really interesting. So again, Salesforce has done the job for us all. We don't have to worry about, what colors are color safe, how can I make my dashboards more accessible, because we have got the color safe palette, for example. And we use color, of course, to visualize, to help your data tell the story. And as I said before, to help point out those outliers, in your data, or your sales manager, or whoever is looking at your reports or dashboards, help them identify those data points that may be, spiking out or something is not right. So keep accessibility in mind and use the color safe option wherever possible. I do I would love to use the watermelon color scheme. I'm not sure if you've seen it. I love the color red. But what you're going to have is something like this. Again, which one can you read better? The one that is just the same shade of blue, or the other, which is the color safe option, which is, again, accessible and your users can easily see it, differentiate between what you are trying to say, what your data is trying to tell. When it comes to using too much color, you can go over the line as well. Salesforce's own research data shows that most people's short-term memory can only retain about 5 pieces of information at one time. So making a 5 good max number when you're working with these color is good. Of course, that's not going to happen all the time. And it's going to happen that sometimes you can't do much. But next time you're building your dashboards, you're looking at your reports, just keep in mind what color palette you're using and how you are displaying the data back to your users. Now, when it comes to quick tips, I really like this segment because I love to talk about list views one. And I know we all know list views, but what I'm not sure many of our orgs have is some sort of naming convention or some sort of logical sequence in our list views that our users use. Or maybe, do you allow your users to create list views, or are you the admin who controls those list views? If you are the admin that controls those list views, make sure that you keep track of the users with the manage public list views permission, and maybe just restrict them, maybe just take the permission away from that profile or the permission set. And think about coming up, as you can see here, I just used a numbering for logical sequence, but your use case might be completely different. This might not be something that you're interested in, but if you go back to your org on Monday and you have a look at your opportunity list views, again, just have a quick look and think about, maybe I could do something here to make my users' life just a little bit easier so they don't have to dig out which list view. I know the search bar is there. How many of our users use it? I don't know. I think you would be surprised. I wish we could track that. And also, I'm not sure if you know, but you can see the little emoji over there as well. You can have emojis. I love emojis, sorry. You can have emojis in the names of your list views. Very interestingly, and someone might know the answer here. I don't know it personally. If you already have a list view, you editing the label or the name of that list view, and you are copy and pasting in an emoji, when you're saving it, it doesn't save. But when you're creating a list view and you insert the emoji there and you save, it saves. I don't know why. It's just how it is. So if you try this out, remember you have to create a new one, pop the emoji in there, save it, then it will stay. Because if you edit an existing one, it just won't happen. I'm not sure why. Search layouts. And I think I will catch some of you, if not most of you, out. I don't want to ask how many of you actually worked with search layouts before, or do you know what your search layout looks like? And what is going to be the reason for that is, since Einstein Search is available at no extra cost in every edition of our orgs, your users rarely hit enter when they're searching for something, because they start typing in and Einstein Search is doing its thing and they're going to say, oh yeah, actually that's what I need. But when they hit enter, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see the search layouts that probably is the default ones. And I certainly worked in an org where, it is still, the default one. But make sure that, again, when you go in Monday, just hit enter, search for an opportunity and hit enter, and you will be surprised what you're going to see of what fields are on your search layouts, and do a bit of a user research to actually see what your users would like to see when they hit enter. And then if you go back to your object manager, they go to object level, you're going to have a tab on the object, search layouts, and you can really easily, it's very easy, you can see it's on the middle, it's just a little multi-seller pick list kind of thing. You can move stuff around, and there you go. It's going to be really cool. Validation and error rule messages. Another topic that I really, really like. And this is for error rule messages, on your screen flows as well, maybe. Or I can talk about here of, what your button should say on your screen flow. Again, should you just say next, or should you have like a custom label for it? Whatever you do, whenever you're writing anything, be concise and use as few words as possible. But by doing that, make sure that you are direct and you are referring to a UI element by their literal names. So if you have got a screen flow and your button is called, let's say, not next, but set email address, then if you're calling that button out, you cannot say, go to the next one. You have to say, click that button, and you have to call out the button's actual name. Similar here. If you say, then save it, let's say, then save the record, do this, then save, that's not really good enough, because what if someone doesn't know what that is? They never worked with Salesforce, this is their first day. And they see that message and they're going to be sitting there looking at it and be like, oh, I don't really know what to do here. But if you say, click submit, all good. They know what to do because there's a submit button, so they know they have to click submit. Be clear on your messages, as you can see it on the example. I'm not sure how readable that is, to prevent confusion and frustration. I've got a validation rule error message there, which says expiration date cannot be before close date. You instantly know what I mean. What my wrong one says is wrong expiration date. Thank you. Okay, what do I need to do next? So your user is going to sit there for a minute and a half. I hate Salesforce. It's just these little things that sometimes we don't really think about. But if we go back to basics on how do you convey information, users are going to say, I love Salesforce. Because if they're going to spend that minute and a half, they're going to remember that. And they're going to say, nah, it's not for me, not for me. Whenever you are working with your error messages as well, use please sparingly. Only when you're asking your users to do something that is inconvenient for them or the system is at fault. For example, the process may take a while. Please wait until it completes. Avoid using sorry and only use sorry in error messages that result in a serious problem for your user, such as they have to contact you and ask for support. And don't use exclamation marks in error messages, confirmation messages, or instructional text either. There's a really cool, not just one, I think 2 or 3. I put together a trail mix for all of you. When you scan the QR code in the end, which I'm referring for the 5th time probably, when you scan it, there's going to be a trail mix that I put together, and there's a project about this, of how you write generally in Salesforce and what your voice and tone should be, what should you and shouldn't you use. I encourage you all to take it, it's really interesting. When it comes to pick lists, one of my pet peeves as well, that you probably can't really see it, but whenever you add in new pick list values and you don't order it again to be in alphabetical, it just stays like as is. So your legacy users who are with your company for 3 years, they have the muscle memory that we talked about. They know exactly, I need to scroll 2 on this mouse that I'm using for the past 3 years, and that's the value I need. You have a new starter. They're gonna be looking at it like this for 2 minutes, trying to look at where is it? I need to select this. Help them by having some sort of logic in your pick list values. You're mostly going to be alphabetically, which what I have done here as well. But your use case might be something different. Just make sure that logic makes sense for your users and don't just leave your pick list values as is. That's what I'm trying to say. And the very last topic I have got is how can we empower our users. And the very first thing I want to talk about is in-app guidance. It's Salesforce's a really cool feature that helps you onboard new users, or it can aid with feature adoption. For example, let's say you move a field around, like you grab it from here and you put it here on your opportunity page layout, and your users are looking for it. What you can do, you can create a prompt in the in-app guidance builder, and whenever your user navigates to that page for the very first time, the page is going to bounce down and it's going to highlight and say a message what you just said. Oh, PS, we just moved this field here, for example. Or you can create a walkthrough. The walkthrough is going to be a series of prompts, maximum of 10 you can have. And you can take your users through, let's say, a screen flow you have got, maybe. Or you created a new app and you want to showcase your app to your users. You can have these and check those out. I think you can have 3 active at any time for free. Well, at least in Enterprise edition. I don't know about the rest, but check these out. They're pretty cool. To-do lists. Again, something that has been GA for quite a few releases now, but I haven't seen much use case for it. What it does, you enable this on the app level. So I'm in the Sales app, and on my utility bar, I have got the to-do list. So if you go into the app manager, you can add the to-do list to the utility bar. Again, this is native Salesforce. This is not custom. This is theirs. What it does, no matter where your users are in that particular app, they can pull up the to-do list and that's their tasks. And they can create those labels that you can see in colors such as pipeline, team tasks, urgent, for themselves. You don't create it for them. That's not stored in metadata anywhere, so you can't report on them. It's just something for themselves. And I think it's a really cool feature. And I think it's not really utilized enough. So maybe you want to have a little play around with it yourself first and then enable it, then maybe record yourself doing something on it and just post it on Slack on Wednesday next week when you enable it on Monday. It's really cool. Something really similar is the Salesforce Chrome extension. Not many people talk about it either. So you have got the to-do list on that column, which I just talked about. That's the to-do list. And you have got a workspace. This is called Sales Cloud everywhere, by the way, so you do need Sales Cloud, sorry. Like you actually need something for this. It's not just your native platform. But you just enable it, and you can just say, yes, my org can use the Chrome extension. Then you tell users, add the Salesforce Chrome extension to your browser. And this is what they're going to see. And essentially, they can filter their own records that they own, accounts, contacts, leads, opportunities, anywhere on the web. They don't need to be logged into your org. And this is it, really. If you scan this QR code, I have linked everything that I've talked about. You will find a trail mix. You will find the Lightning design system where I have grabbed all the graphics for the charts and when to use what. So if you want more information about more charts, because there's a ton over there, check those out too. And if you want to keep up with design, the Salesforce has design blogs as well, which are really, really cool. And if you haven't already logged into for your next certification to take the UX Experience Designer exam, I encourage you to do so. It is genuinely really cool. There's not much info on it on Trailhead, and it's a lot of soft skills. It's less technical, but it's mostly soft skills that it requires, but I encourage you to do so. It is really cool.